Hi, Pallavi. Good evening. Am I audible?
Hi, yes, I can hear you. Could you just enable the camera?
You can switch on your camera from your end. It's
Oh, it
enabled.
says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, you can try now, Pallavi.
All right, thank you so much. It's working now.
Yeah, so we'll start in 5 minutes. Let's wait for 5 minutes. Yeah, Pallavi, I think we should start. Hello, am I audible?
Hi, yes, we can start.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I welcome you all for today's webinar. So, as we are gearing up for India's biggest fellowship program, the Zuno Fellowship Test, we have brought to you a webinar on how to crack national level fellowship exams with Dr. Pallavi Roy. So, before we begin with the session, I would like to introduce Dr. Pallavi. So, she is a dental surgeon and a social entrepreneur, the co founder of DigiSwasthya Foundation, and a winner of Global Talent Scholarship at Unleash. After graduating from MCODS Manipal, she has worked with health tech startups in various capacities, ranging from being digital marketing manager at a Y Combinator startup to being a COVID warrior at another. Currently, Dr. Pallavi leads DigiSwasthya Foundation, a non-profit organization which works on providing accessible and affordable healthcare in rural India through phygital telemedicine centers. So now I would like Dr. Pallavi to take it from here and we begin our session.
Thank you so much, Talika, for the warm introduction. Hi, everyone. So before I begin, just wanted to ask, are you comfortable with English or would you want me to switch between English and Hindi? Unfortunately, these are the two languages that I'm confident about. So let me know. Okay, English is fine. Okay, all right, great. And may I know where you all are joining in from? So I'm in Delhi right now. How about you all? Okay, a couple of people from Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Interesting. Okay, Kashmir, Thane, Mysore, Ahmedabad, Tamil Nadu. So coincidentally, the Unleash program that took place, it was in Mysore. Okay, great. We have very diverse people here. And what are you all doing? Are you students? How old are you? Are you working somewhere? Are you in college? Let me know a little bit about yourself. College, okay. Pursuing MCA, CSE. Okay, all right. And what brings you here? Are you aware about the fellowship program that we're going to talk about today? Okay, great. Some of you are. Nice. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, you have many doubts. Okay, fine. We can take up the doubts once, I share a little bit about how to crack the National Fellowship level exam, right? So can you see my screen? You can raise your hands or write in the chat. Okay, you can see my screen. Perfect. Okay, great. We'll start. Right, so some of you already said that you are aware about the Zuno Fellowship, and these are a few details about it. As you've already been told, I'm Pallavi, I'm a dental surgeon, and recently I was a part of the Unleash Innovation Program, wherein it is a global lab wherein talents across the globe join us, and we work on different sustainable development goals, right? However, this particular fellowship exam is a little different, and I will talk a little bit more about the format that is going to be followed. So how many of you have participated in this exam before? You can raise your hands. Okay. All right. Eight people so far. Okay, that's great. Right. So I'm a social entrepreneur and I'm passionate about mentoring, and you can reach out to me through LinkedIn or email as well. Being in the healthcare field and having participated in a lot of Olympiads, I have a fair idea about how the test formats are. And in India, we are very passionate about competitive exams, right? How many of us have never attempted a competitive exam before? You can let me know in the chat as well. Okay. So will this be the first time that you are going to participate in a competitive exam? Okay. SSC. Yeah. How many of you have taken part in NTSC or let's say a science Olympiad, math Olympiad, any critical reasoning test? Okay. All right. UPSC. Okay. Wow. Okay. So all of you, I mean, most of you have the experience of attempting these exams before, right? And how many of you are familiar with uh, negative marking? Have you attempted any exams? Of course, I can see JEE and NEET. So you are familiar with negative marking, but what about the others? Is there anyone who doesn't know what negative marking means? Okay, all right. Okay, I'll explain bit more about it. So this particular fellowship, the test is going to be conducted on the 28th, and it's a Saturday between 4 to 7 p.m., wherein you will be judged on the basis of three different categories, right? The first is quantitative aptitude, second is English language, and the third is reasoning ability, where you will have 60 questions and you have 60 minutes to attempt these questions. You will get +1 for every correct answer and minus 0.25 for every incorrect answer. So since a lot of you are good at math, I'm assuming. Okay, let's say I get 5 answers correct and 1 answer wrong. How many points will I be awarded? Let's say 5 answers are correct and 1 is wrong. Yes, so you get the gist of it, right? This is how the scoring is done. Is there somebody who didn't understand what just happened? So because I have attempted 5 questions which were correct. Okay. All right, fine. Got it. Great. Yes, I will repeat that. So let's say, okay, let's take this example. Let's say I have 10 questions which I have attempted, of which, no, total, there will be total of 60 questions. Yeah, there are 60 MCQs in total, and they're divided into 3 categories, right? So now let's say there are 5 questions that I have attempted. Okay, 5 questions attempted. 4 questions were correct. 1 question was wrong. You can check in the chat. I've listed it down like that. So now tell me, how much would I have scored? Yeah. Right. Okay. So now you've got the right answer. Earlier, I think you were a little confused with that. So no worries. We'll move on. So I am assuming that this is the reason why you're here, to know more about the tips and tricks that you can use while you are working and while you are attempting this exam. So since many of you have attempted exams before, these competitive exams, what are your tips and tricks? What are some things that you like to take into consideration while you're attempting these exams? Does anybody want to share? Like some people like to revise thrice before they attempt an exam. What is your go-to trick? You can type it in the chat box. Okay, so for me, the first thing is how to plan my time, right? Okay, that's great. Yes. Okay, perfect. So I think this is something that's very important for this test in particular, that because we have negative marking here, we need to take that into cognizance and ensure that we don't attempt questions unnecessarily. If you're not sure about it, leave it, because attempting a question which you're not sure about might lead to negative marking, right? And if you get negative marking, even the answers that you've attempted correctly, it's going to have an impact on that, and your score is going to reduce, which is something that often happens in competitive exams. Your ranking is based on how many questions, not just how many questions you've attempted correctly, but also the questions that you've attempted incorrectly. Yes. So the first thing that I would want you to focus on while attempting this exam is how to plan your time. How much time do we have for this exam? Can you let me know? How many minutes are you being given to attempt this exam? 1 hour, right? 60 minutes or 1 hour, right? So, and how many questions do we have? Right, we have 60 questions. So what should be, no, that's it, 60 questions, yeah? So you have 60 questions and you have 60 minutes. So what would be your go-to strategy? How much time would you like to allot to every question? Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can give one question. Yes, less than 1 minute. Okay, great. We'll discuss more about that, about how to plan your time. The second thing is don't rush. A lot of times when we are taking exams in a time-bound manner, we tend to get anxious, right? How many of you suffer from exam anxiety? Does anybody get nervous? Okay, a lot of people, yeah. And that's normal. It's okay to be nervous about an exam. It's okay to be anxious about an exam. Everybody has gone through that, during some phase or the other. So this is why it's important not to rush through the questions. The exam is going to take place. I will share all the details with you. Yeah, it will be on the 28th. Like I said, it's a Saturday, and the timings also have been given. Right. The next thing is use clues. Um, have you ever come across a question which already has the answer in it? People who have attempted competitive exams before, I want to hear answers from you. Have you ever come across questions which already have the answers? Okay, yeah, 6-7 people. How many total participants do we have? I think around 45. Oh, we have 81 people. Okay, out of 81, I see only 6 hands that are raised. Okay. Right, so we'll try to look for these clues, and if you're not familiar with it, that's okay, because that is something that we're going to learn during this webinar. Yeah. So for people who don't know how to manage your time, no, that's the exam is going to be between 4 to 7, and I think the language that's going to be used is English. Yes, so planning your time. This is how I would want you to structure your time. How many times has it happened that, let's say you're taking an exam and you're not able to complete it in time? Has that happened with you? A lot. Yeah, me too. Exactly. And for me, in my personal experience, what happens is that I get fixated on trying to solve the same question because I feel like I will get to the answer, but I'm not able to. And it's only in the last 5 minutes that I realized that, oh, there were other questions which I could have attempted and I could have reached the answer faster. Yeah. So what can we do to avoid that? To avoid that, utilize the first 15 minutes to read through the paper. Just skim through the paper, Sometimes there are very basic questions. For example, let's say between, if there are 60 questions, let's say there'll be 5 questions which are extremely easy, right? Questions like, let's say, um, what gives the green color in leaves of a plant? What is the reason for the green colors of plants? I want to see answers in the chat box. Right, chlorophyll. Yeah. So this is something, I mean, if you're a science student, it's going to come to you very naturally, right? Or, okay, I'll take an easier example. What is the capital of India? Right. So these are questions that you can answer by just looking at them. You don't have to think too much about it. You will see the question, you will know the answer. If there is a question that says 2 + 2 is equal to, you don't have to think so much about it. You will instantly know the answer, right? And this is the time that you will take to solve those questions. The first 15 minutes should be utilized to read through the paper, see which questions are easy, and solve them right away. The next 30 minutes, go through the rest of the questions. And like we discussed before, since you only have 60 minutes for the exam, don't spend more than 1 minute per question. And this technique is called hard start, jump to easy. Okay. So whenever you feel like you are getting stuck on a very hard question, let it be. Move to the next question. Don't spend too much time on the same question because the time that you have is limited. And it's not like we're going to ignore the hard questions. We'll come back to that. But for the second set of 30 minutes that you have, utilize this time to focus on the questions wherein you can take 1 minute for one question and try to solve them. If it's taking you more than a minute, let it go. And then comes the third set, which is the last 15 minutes that you have. Now, because it's a competitive exam, I doubt you're going to have time to go through the paper again. But in case time permits, that is something that you should do to ensure that you haven't missed out on any question. But these 15 minutes should primarily focus on you trying to solve the tough questions. And the second part is guesswork. How many of you have done this before? How many of you have guessed the answers to questions? Yeah. And this is something that we do, right? And this is something that's called intelligent guessing, or like we say, tukka lagana. These are intelligent guesses that you can make on the basis of the knowledge that you already have, on the basis of things that you observe around you. And you might not be sure about them, about the answers, but this is also a talent to be able to guess correctly. Okay, so let's move to the second part that I was talking about, which is don't rush. You might be anxious, you might see the clock ticking, but don't rush. Read every question twice, because in the first go, you might miss out on something. Pay attention to words like not and always. In some papers, they are kind enough to make not and always terms like those in bold, but in some exams, they might not do that, right? In case they don't, it is your job to encircle or underline these keywords. There might be some keywords that they want you to focus on. Let's say there is an extremely long question, which is about 20 words or so. Not all 20 words are going to be relevant for you. There will be maybe 1 or 2 sentences which are key to the question, and you have to draw the answer from there. So this is why it's important for you to read the question, read it twice. Mark the words that you think are important. Mark words like except, not, always. And last but not least, read all the options before you finalize. Does it ever happen that you read a question and you get excited about it because you feel like, oh, this is something that I know. This is a question I've done before. I know the answer. I'll jump right to it. And without looking at the options, you just select the answer. Has anyone done that before? Yeah. So I have done this too. I have done this as well, because you feel like this is a subject that you're confident about, and this must be the right answer. So you just tick it and you move on to the next question. But in such cases, in a competitive exam, it's important for you to read all the options. We sometimes think that, oh, why would they have given this kind of a question? It seems a little dumb. But to be fair, the people who are setting this exam paper are smarter than you are. And it could be a tricky question. So that's why it's important for you to read all the options before you finalize. Because there might be options like none of the above, all of the above, both answer B and C are correct. Yeah. And this you will find out only once you read the answer. So don't rush. So this question, okay, I have some questions in the chat box as well. I'll take them up once I'm done with the presentation. I hope that's okay. All right. Yeah, so use clues. This is something that I was talking about earlier. Now, let's say that there is a question to do with math. Do you understand what quantitative aptitude is? What kind of questions come under that? For people who have never attempted a competitive exam before. Okay, right. So if I talk about terms that you're not familiar with, please let me know so that I can explain that to you, right? That's why we're having this session. I will break things down for you and try to make it easy for you. Okay, so for people who have not understood what quantitative aptitude is, quantitative is to do with numbers, and that means that these are questions related to math. They are testing your mathematical ability. So your mathematical ability to process equations to come to a numerical answer, that is what quant is related. So in a mathematical question, there are often questions that you don't know how to solve. How many of you have studied math till, let's say, the 12th grade? Okay. And okay, all right. So of 83 people, 6 people have studied math till the 12th grade. That's it. What about others? Okay, how many of you did not have math as a high school subject? Did not have math. Okay, but I'm sure that does not matter because I was asking just to see, right? 10th grade mathematics is often enough to solve questions that are in the quantitative aptitude section. So you don't have to worry about that because most operations, most basic operations in math are covered till the 10th grade. So if you studied math till the 10th grade, you shouldn't worry too much about this. This is more to do with logic and how you utilize your mathematical skills rather than 12th grade or 11th grade knowledge. Yeah. Okay. So the first point about math, let's say the question is, I'll just write down a question in the chat box and you can have a look at it. Can you tell me the value of X? Okay, great. So this was an easy example, right? But let's say you don't know this, okay? Let's say I put this sign. Okay. And let's say you don't know what X is. Now I will say X can be equal to I'm giving you options in the chat. Okay. The question is X minus 3 is equal to 2. And then you have 4 options, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. For this, we know that the answer is 5. But let's say you don't know how to subtract. Okay. Now, what can we do? We can put the options in the question. Does everybody understand the substitution? Do you understand substitution? You can let me know if you don't. Is there anybody who doesn't understand substitution? You can let me know so that I can explain it to you. Okay, great. Right. So the question is x minus 3 is equal to 2. Now, let's say I don't know how to subtract. I can put the options in the question. So I will try out all the options. Okay. So I will try 5 minus 3. Is this equal to 2? I will try 4 minus 3. Is this equal to 2? 3 minus 3. Is this equal to 2? 2 minus 3. Is this equal to 2? So in the equation for value of x, I have substituted, right? I've put the different options, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then I see which equation gets balanced. And in this, we can clearly see that the first equation, 5 minus 3 is equal to 2. Yeah, right. That's the correct one. That's where it gets balanced. So in case you don't know how to solve a question, you can put the options back in the question and then test if the equation is satisfied. Does that make sense? Was this complicated? Okay. All right, great. Good to know. Okay, so the next part is English. So in this, use grammar. It's complicated, right? Okay. Maybe, with a little bit of practice, you would be able to do that. And I will come to that as well. There are, a lot of rich resources out there that you can use. There are question banks that you can utilize and try this method. And of course, you can reach out to me in case you still find it tough. Unfortunately, we're a little short on time right now, so I won't be able to explain it again. But you can connect with me after the session and I can help you out. Yeah. So let's go to the next section, which is English. Now, English language is going to be one of the sections on which you will be tested. And for English, the clue that you can use is grammar. You can use grammar to check if the option matches the question, right? So if I say, I'm just going to write down a question here. So France is okay. So this is the question that we have. The people of France. Can you tell me which is the correct answer? Right. Yes. So this is something that you already know, right? But let's say instead of France, I put it as something else. Let's say there is a country called let's say that there is a country called lamb. Yeah. I don't know what lamb is. I've never heard about it before. So how do I answer this question? Yeah, exactly. You're right. Because of R. Right? A-R-E. So how do we know this? The question says the people of lamb, which means it's plural, the people, right? A lot of people. The first option says is. The third option says is. Is used when we are talking about a singular noun, but are is used when we are talking about plural. Yeah, it's a little complicated. That's why I said that you have to use the clues. And in English, this is the clue that you have. This is called subject-verb agreement. This is not important. I'm just telling you what it's called. It's called subject-verb agreement. And this means that your subject and your verb have to agree. Okay. So in the question, it says the people. And the people means that there are many people, right? For plural, we use are. And this is how we know that the second option is correct. Not the first one, not the third one. Why not the first one? Because it says is. The third one also says is. Is used for singular. Exactly, it contains is. Is that making sense? Would you like me to repeat this part? No, you don't want me to repeat, or no, it is clear? It's clear. Okay. Not clear. Okay, fine. For people who, for the people that it's not clear, I will tell you again. Okay, I'll just type it out so that it's easy for you to understand. Is singular, are plural. People are French. Person is French. Okay, if the question said the person in lamb is French, then it would be correct. But because we're talking about people, with people we use the word are, and that's why the answer, the option which contains the term are, is the correct. Okay, now you got it, right? It's easy now, right? Okay, awesome, great. Okay, now let's move to the third one, which is unit match. Unit match means you need to check the consistency with units and dimensions. Okay, so this again comes under quantitative to do with math. So if we look at dimensions, what are some units that you can think about? Okay, if I talk about units of length, what are the different? Yeah, exactly. Like kilometer, meter, kg, grams. Okay, units of length would be meters, kilometers, miles, centimeter. Yeah, that's right. Minute, second, correct. So everybody understands what a unit means, units and dimensions. Okay. Okay. So now let's say that I ask you to find, find the area of a square with side 4 centimeter. Can you tell me what the answer would be? Give me the answer with the unit. I want the correct unit. 16 what? Exactly, 16 centimeter square. Yes. Now let's say I asked you to give me the area of a shape that you haven't heard of. With okay, let's say there is a shape called shapezoid. Yeah, and I'm asking you to find the area of a shape called shapezoid. So let the answer be okay. Now tell me the correct answer for this question. The area of a shapezoid with side 4 centimeter. What is the correct answer? Okay. Can you tell me why it's A? Why is it option A? That's right. I want more people to attempt. Come on, I want to see answers from people who haven't answered that. Exactly. So if you look at the question again, you will see that it says the area of a trapezoid with side or whatever with 4 centimeter. Okay, that's the only dimension that's been given to you. Now you don't know what this trapezoid is. You've never heard about it. But if you look at option A, the unit is centimeter square. Option B, unit is centimeter cube. Option C is centimeter, and option D, unit is kg. We know that kg is not a unit of area, so we can remove that answer. We know that centimeter is used just for distance, linear distance, so we can remove that answer. We know that centimeter cube is used for volume, right? If we're calculating the volume of an object, that is when we use the unit centimeter cube. And centimeter square is something that we often use for area. Right. That's why we will go with option A. Exactly. Area is always in square, volume is in cube. And over here, we can see that the area is has been asked. So we know that we should go for option A. So even without knowing the shape, even without knowing what the question is, you can use the clue from the answers and understand what the correct answer is going to be. Is that clear? Did you all understand this particular trick? Okay. It's interesting, right? Because the answers, the options themselves can tell you what the correct answer is, even without knowing the question or knowing things properly. Of course, you won't always be lucky. You won't always have these kind of questions, but a lot of times you do. Yes, it's a useful trick. It's a very useful trick. Now let's go to the fourth one, which is context-based memory. So sometimes what happens is that you read about a particular subject, okay, and you're unable to recall what else you have read about it. Let's say I remember reading about the solar system, but I don't remember the order of the planets. So if you try to recall where exactly you read about it and visualize it, you might be able to recall the order as well. So let's say I read about solar system in my science textbook, and it was on page number 43 or whatever it is, the 9th chapter that is about solar system. If I remember that, if I recall that, and I look at, I try to visualize that particular page in my head, and I can see, that, okay, this is the section wherein the answer might be present. I could go back to it and then remember. So that is a clue that you're using from your memory. And the last one that we have is practice. So the more that you practice these kind of questions, using these clues, using these tricks, you will be able to, get better at getting the right answer, even without knowing what the context of the question is. As I said, that you would have to be very lucky to get these kind of questions multiple times. But in few cases where you're stuck, this definitely helps. Now, this is the part about intelligent guessing, and these are some tricks that you can use. However, I would not recommend it. I would not recommend it for this kind of an exam where you have negative marking. But only if you have, doubts between, let's say, two options, and you think that, okay, I can get it right with a little bit of intelligent guessing, then you can go ahead with it, or else don't risk it. So the first one is eliminate options, wherein you can remove the wrong answers, like what we did with the area question, right? We removed the wrong answers, and then we understood, okay, this could be the right one. Long tail keywords. And mind you, these questions, these particular facts, they're all based on statistics. These are based on studies. So this may or may not be true for the exam that you are attempting. So I just want to warn you beforehand. It's not like this is always going to hold true. It might not be this way. Okay, so long-tailed keywords, longest statements have the probability of being right in the options. Avoid footprint. Let's say question number 3, the answer was B. Question number C, the answer was B. Question number C may or may not be B. Okay, so the same option might not be correct for consecutive questions. Golden options. There's a high probability that answers like none of the above or all of the above are the correct options. If there is a true or false question, there is more likelihood that the option true would be the right one. You should avoid options that are drastically different. And at the same time, if there are two options which have common keywords, one of the answers is right. Okay, chances are that one of those two particular options is the correct one. Um, Again, statistically, people say that if there are A, B, C, D, and if you're extremely confused, chances are statistically that B might be the right one. So these are a few things that you can keep in mind while attempting the exam. But again, for this particular test, I would recommend that you don't, because it has negative marking. And these are some resources that you can use. Like I said, there are a lot of resources available online, a lot of question banks, free practice tests. And in case you don't have access to good quality, internet connections, you can also refer to books. There are books available for practicing, Olympiads and TSC. There are other guides. Yes, and somebody at the beginning of the webinar was asking me about the prizes. So here is some incentive for you to take part in the fellowship. And with this, I would like to hand it over to Kolika. If you could just brief, the students a little bit more about the fellowship, that would be great. Yes, thank you so much. We're open for Q&A. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, so I think you can take a few questions that are there in the chat box. And if anyone is left with any queries, you can ask them. And if there's something I can answer, I will do that as well.
Right. So I think somebody had a question about whether they can take the exam anytime between 4 to 7. Is that up to the participants to decide which time slot they would want?
Yes, so the exam is for 1 hour, everybody. So the time slot is 4 to 7. You can pick on any 1 hour to give that exam. And
I see.
yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say about the participation certificate. So all of you will be getting a participation certificate after you complete the test.
Okay, so there is a question, what to do if the length and breadth are in different units. How do we convert it to meters or centimeters? See, again, it depends on the units. First, have a look at all the options. See if the options are, is it meter square or centimeter square? If it's in centimeter square, if more options are in centimeter square, then convert it to centimeters and then calculate the area. If there are more options which are in meter square, then you can do the other thing. But it would never happen that two options are correct with one being in meters and the other one being in centimeters. So there's only going to be one correct answer. No, I don't think usage of a calculator is allowed for this exam, but I think Tulika can shed more light on the rules and regulations of participation.
Yeah, right. Like we would expect you all to give it in a fair manner. It's not a proctored exam, but this is a learning experience for everyone. So we would expect you all to give it in a fair manner and make good use of this exam.
So the importance of this exam is that, you really get to assess your skills. You get to be a part of the fellowship program. And I shared a couple of incentives that you would get if you were to be a part of it. And I think there's also a brochure available, which can be shared with you. So you can read up more about what the program has to offer. There are a lot of rewards, a lot of gifts that are available if you perform well. No, so the exam is not proctored and the camera would not be there. It's an online exam. So you would have MCQs, like I mentioned earlier, that there would be 60 MCQs, you'll have 60 minutes. And that is just round one of this fellowship examination. There is a round two where you will have a panel discussion. So maybe once you clear round one, we can talk more about that. Yes, and I think if you click on the link that has been shared in the chat box, you'll be able to find more information about it. So the results will be declared on the website, and there are also different prizes from other brands that are available. There are rewards, there are exciting goodies that will be available. Based on the rank that you receive, you can get rewards, almost worth 1 lakh. And these will be delivered to you in about, I think, 30 days after the results are declared, if I'm not wrong.
So the results should be declared a week after the exams, and you will find it on the Zuno portal when you log in. The results should be there.
You can just click on the link and I think you'll be able to access it. Or you can just type it in your, yes, that's right. Only the top 10 people go to round two. Yes, you can add, I mean, in case you make it to round two, in case, you become a fellow, if you join the program, then you can, of course, add it to your profile. And that always gives you an advantage because it's a national level exam, right? So that shows that you have the analytical skills. And in a lot of, career paths as well for interviews, these kind of examinations are held, wherein they judge your logical reasoning ability, your aptitude, your quantitative, qualitative aptitude, your language skills. And in case you want to reach out to me, I'm dropping a link in the chat box. Feel free to contact me after the session in case you have any questions or you want to discuss something. So the round two panel interviews, I think they will be they will be conducted by the CXOs. Tulika, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. You're right.
Right. Okay. Yes. So I think there will be a panel, and it's for the top 10 people who make it to the second round. There are two rounds. The first round is the MCQ round, and the second round is the panel that I was just talking about. The exam is on the 28th, and you can just go to the link for more details. I think the Zuno team will also be available to answer any queries if you have anything to ask after the exam. Yeah. Okay, I hope this session was helpful.
Okay, I think that's it with the questions. Thank you so much, Pallavi, for your time and your tips for the Zuno Fellowship exam. And I really hope we all get to learn something from it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a great evening.